Okay, so I think that everything is set up. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Hello. Welcome back to the channel. We have a lot of things to discuss when it comes to this affidavit. As I've always said, I find it suspicious that one of these surviving roommates did not hear anything during these attacks. And lo and behold, look at what has came out. Look what has came out in the affidavit. This whole entire time, we were led on to believe that these surviving roommates were on the first floor, both. It appears in the affidavit that this person that goes by the name DM resided on the second floor. The attacks took place on the second floor and the third floor. So again, how could you not hear anything when this was taking place? A thud? A dog barking? Well, now it turns out that she did hear a lot. There were things heard, and she was awake. Whoever this mystery roommate, I'm not going to be mentioning names. I'm still not mentioning names. There's a reason why they have their initials in the affidavit is because they try to keep their anonymous anonymity protected. So I'm not going to be mentioning their names. My next question, now that I know that one of the roommates were alive, why did you wait 6 hours to call 911? I just don't get it. I even have more questions now. We're going to be going over the complete affidavit in this live stream. I'm sure that you guys have already watched other people cover the affidavit, but if you haven't, thank you for joining me. That's what we are here to do this morning. We're going to be going over the complete thing because I've only read over the main part that everyone's talking about, which is this surviving roommate. Turns out that she was on the second floor. It also turns out that she was face to face with the killer, what is described. There's discrepancies when it comes to the wording. You were shocked, so were you feared? Because whenever you say shocked, the way that I interpret shocked is usually if someone is shocked, that's an element of fear. So what was it? She peeked out the door for the third time and she saw the perpetrator. And this time, whenever she saw the perpetrator, she just froze because she was in shock. She just froze up. She didn't know what to do. So the perp walked past her. Did the perp even see this person? Or was she off in the background? Because the way that it's described, her room where she is explaining is the closest next to the stairs. She would have had to see the perpetrator go down the stairs. It's possible that the perpetrator did not see her. But did she mention that they came close to close eye contact? They looked at each other? I have a lot of questions. A lot of questions. And see, this just goes to prove that everyone was questioning, well, the roommates and the roommates this. Turns out that one of them didn't even reside downstairs or the first floor. Whatever you want to call it. One of them didn't even stay downstairs. Let's take a look at this affidavit. By the way, if you are wondering what you're looking at here on the screen, we're going to be getting into this here in a second because this is awfully chilling, to say the least. This is a video capture that I took from News Nation. We now know that Brian Kohberger was back at the crime scene around 9:12 to 9:24, I believe, a.m., November 13th, a few hours after the murders occurred. So I saw a few other people point this out, and I went and watched the video myself. This video from News Nation was from the 13th of November. I would like to know when exactly this aired, because in the background, you can see a white car up here passing in the back of the house where this arrow is pointed. Now, I don't know if you can tell if it's an Elantra, but now that we know that Brian Kohberger was back at the scene, his phone was pinged back at the scene a few hours after the murders. Why was he back at the crime scene? Did he go back to finish his work, to make sure, oh shit, I have to go back, these two people saw me? Again, another reason why I don't get why you would wait so long to call 911. You're just giving him more time to come back. You're the next one. You're next. So why would you not call 911 as soon as you can? And I get it. Some people's going to be like, Bandit, you don't know what she's going through. She was probably panicking. She didn't even have to speak to a 911 operator. She could just dial them, 911, hang up, 911, hang up, and then they will come to the house. That's what they have to do. Was she thinking of that in the time period? Why? The last thing that I would do would be go back in the room, bury my head in the sand, and pretend like nothing is happening after seeing an actual perpetrator in the house. You opened up the door 3 times. The first time, what was it? You heard that someone said someone is here, and it is believed it came from Xana Kernodle's room. So you're hearing that someone may be here. Then the second time you peeped out, you heard whimpering and crying. It also sounds like someone is playing with a dog. But why would you be playing with your dog at 4 o'clock in the morning? And then the third time you peeked out, you saw the perpetrator face to face, but he walked past you. He decided to spare your life. So let's go there. Let's just go there. I'm going to ask you all, allegedly, all things that we are mentioning over here falls under the copyright section 107 of Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, education, and research. I am just asking questions. I am not trying to implement either one of these girls into the crime scene. Okay? I'm not trying to say that they had anything to do with the crime. But you have to question, why did he leave? Why did he spare her life? If he saw her, if he just saw her, if they made eye contact after doing what he just did, wouldn't you think he would go ahead and off her too? But no, he decided he can't have any witnesses. So why did he decide to spare her life? Thank God he did. Because now, despite the controversy the affidavit has released now that we know this information, it is more evidence dimming Brian Koberger to the crime scene. Did one of the roommates have a connection to Brian Koberger? Was one of the roommates the one that caught attentions of Brian Koberger, and that's why he decided to spare their life? Did he know one of these surviving roommates? You have to. I'm going to have to ask these questions. I have more questions now. I'm sorry. That's what you have to ask. And as I've heard some people here on YouTube say, this person better be prepared to go to court and face with defense. They're going to ask her these questions. Why didn't you call 911? Why did you just go back in your room, wait 6 hours? Didn't even make an attempt to call 911. Maybe she didn't want to speak on the phone with them because she didn't want to be heard. But like I said, you can just dial them and hang up. Dial them, hang up. Because once the cops see that a ping is coming from the same location, it doesn't matter. They have to show up. They have to see what's going on. So again, why did she not call 911? Did she know, or did they know of Brian Koberger? It makes me wonder. As you walk in the room, to the right on the first floor was full of crap like golf clubs, etc. on the body cam. Yeah, that doesn't seem right. So let's see what the affidavit has to say. I'm going to be turning off my camera, and let's pull it up right here. So let me take off this one picture. Again, we're going to be coming back. I'm going to be playing this video from News Nation that was taken the morning of the murders. And I swear to God, it's creepy if you watch it. A lot of you may have already seen this video, but if you go back and you watch this video, you can clearly see a white car come in and back out. And I went under that video and I even made timestamps. I'm not kidding, but we'll be getting into it. Be sure to check yourself in by liking the video, please. And thank you. So let's take a look at this affidavit. Again, this is 19 pages, so we have a lot to go through. Some of it I've already went through. Yeah, some of it I've already went through, but I'm going to have to minimize this screen. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 4:00 p.m., Moscow Police Department, Sergeant Blaker and I responded to 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, here after the King Road residence, to assist with a scene, security, and processing of a crime scene associated with 4 homicides. Upon our arrival, the Idaho State Police forensic team was on the scene and was preparing to begin processing the scene. MPD Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers to the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. I have my coffee ready. Grab your coffee, people. Grab your tea. OFC Officer Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. OFC Smith and I walked upstairs to the second floor. OFC Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana Kernodle's driver's license and other personal belongings was Xana Kernodle's, hereafter Kernodle's room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body later identified as Kernodle's laying on the floor. Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also in the room was a male later identified as Ethan Chapin, hereafter Chapin. So let's stop right there automatically. Let's go back to the very beginning. When this whole thing broke, does anybody out there remember how they were saying that Ethan Chapin was found in a common, they quoted it as being a common area, which I would assume would be a living room, a kitchen, a shared area. Now in the affidavit, this is a version to the story. This is what was repeated. And I believe it was coming from somebody associated with the roommates that were speaking on their behalf because they didn't want to get the scrutiny. This person that came out with this version was saying Ethan Chapin was found in a common area, allegedly. Now we're hearing that Chapin and Kernodle was found in the same room. They died together in the same room. Let's continue. Let's carry on. There's a lot that's been redacted. There's a lot. I would like to, we're not going to know, but at least for right now, we're not going to know what's been redacted. I'm figuring what has been redacted is other information relating to what the roommates experienced. It then goes on to say that then I followed the OFC Smith upstairs to the third floor of the residence. This consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Gonzalez. I learned from a review of the officer's Noon's body camera, there was a dog in the room where Moscow police officers initially responded. The dog belonged to Gonzalez and her ex-boyfriend, Jack. I found out from my interview that Jack, on November 13th, that he and Gonzalez shared the dog. So, again, this is Kaylee and Jack talking about the dog they shared. OFC Smith then pointed out a small bathroom on the east side of the third floor. This bathroom shared a wall with Madison Mogan, hereafter Mogan bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the third floor. This bedroom was shared with Madison Mogan's, hereafter Mogan's bedroom was situated on the southeast corner of the third floor. As I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Gonzalez and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath, which, mind you, this knife sheath, for people still asking about the evidence, the forensic evidence, the DNA evidence that they found at the crime scene linking Koberger back to this, it was this knife sheath. It was a knife sheath. And on the button, I'm assuming, was his fingerprints, sweat, particles of his DNA that they found on that sheath, which was laying by Madison Mogan when she was found. The sheath was later processed to have a K-bar USMC, the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and Anchor and Sigma stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later located the single source of male DNA suspect profile left on the button strap of the knife sheath. So again, they found the DNA on the knife, on the button of that knife sheath. Whenever you put a knife in that sheath, you close the button. Usually most people with their thumb, you'll use your thumb to close that button. And that's what they got. That's so interesting. That's such a small piece. See, I bet that Brian Koberger wasn't thinking about that. He let alone leaving the entire sheath at the scene. Could that be the reason why he returned back the following morning, just a few hours later? Because he forgot. He remembered, oh shit, I forgot the knife sheath. I need to go back and get it, but it's already too late. As a part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department officers, Idaho State Police detectives, and FBI agents. Two of the interviews included BF and DM, and then this is where they're getting into the roommates. Again, I'm not going to be saying their names. Included BF and DM. Both BF and DM were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides and were roommates of the victims. BF, her bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor of the King Road residence. So this person, this is the roommate on the first floor. It then goes on to say that based on numerous interviews conducted by MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents, as well as my review of evidence, I have learned the following. Continuing, on the evening of November 12th, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle were seen by BF, the roommate, on the first floor of the home at the Sigma Chi house. So she saw them at the Sigma Chi house on November 12th, the evening before the slayings, at 7:35 Ness Pierce Drive from approximately 9 o'clock p.m. to 1:45 a.m. in the morning, November 13th. BF, the roommate that is on the first floor, also estimated that approximately 1:45 a.m. Chapin and Kernodle returned to the King Road's residence. BF also stated that Chapin did not live at the King Road residence, but was a guest of Kernodle. Gonzalez and Mogan were at the local bar, Corner Club at 202 North Main Street in Moscow. Gonzalez and Mogan can be seen on video footage provided by the Corner Club between 10 o'clock p.m. on November 12th and 1:30 a.m. November 13th. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Gonzalez and Mogan can be seen on a video at the local food vendor called the Grub Truck at 318 South Main Street in downtown Moscow, Idaho. The Grub Truck live streams video from their food truck on the streaming platform Twitch. I don't know why they do that. I read that. I thought that was weird. A private party, and it's been wide out, reported that he provided a ride to Gonzalez and Mogan at approximately 1:56 a.m. According to these roommates, all of them were back asleep or at least back in their rooms by 4 o'clock a.m. DM and BF both made statements during the interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 o'clock a.m. and asleep or at least in their rooms by approximately 4 o'clock a.m., with an exception of Kernodle, who received a DoorDash order at the residence. A lot of people Well, some people I've heard, what restaurants are open at 4 a.m.? You would be surprised. McDonald's is open at 4 a.m. I'm an Uber driver, an Uber Eats driver. I've made trips at 3 o'clock in the morning to deliver food like Wawa, 7-Eleven. You would be surprised. It really depends on what area you're in. But I digress. With an exception of Kernodle, she had a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Okay, so DM stated, now DM, mind you, don't get confused, this is the roommate on the second floor. It turns out that she was on the second floor. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. Not the first floor. She was on the second floor. Now we're learning this new information. DM stated that she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Gonzalez playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said that she heard who she thought was Gonzalez say something to the efforts of there's somebody here. A review of the records obtained by forensic downloads of Kernodle's phone showed this could have also been Kernodle, as her cell phone indicated that she was likely awake using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. So again, they believe that this could have came from Xana Kernodle's room. This voice that said there's somebody here. There's somebody that's here. DM stated that she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being inside the house. So initially, whenever she looked out her bedroom, she didn't see anyone. DM stated that she opened up her door for the second time when she heard what she thought was crying and whimpering from Kernodle's room. DM then said that she heard a male voice saying, in the effects, "It's going to be okay. I'm going to help you." That makes me wonder, was this Ethan or was this Brian? Was this Ethan or was this Brian? Could this have been Ethan's last words, "I'm going to help you," if one of the other victims were attacked first and he made an effort to save somebody? Or did Koberger already take one of them down and he was saying this to one of the girls? That makes me question, who said, "I'm going to help you"? At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest, the house to the left of the house, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. A security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. So again, I believe this is coming from the house on the left side of 1112 King Road. DM stated that she opened the door for the third time. Get this, guys. This is what I don't get about this whole story. Like, everything's a version, I know, but let's read this. DM stated that she opened the door for the third time after she heard the crying. You heard the crying. You heard that someone could possibly break in. At this point, I would have already been on the phone with the police. I would have already called the police, attempted to call the police. I would have made sure they were on their way. But that's just me. I know. In this situation, in the moment, you may not be thinking about these obvious questions. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say this, but when studying these true crime cases, it's kind of like watching the horror films. Like you're asking yourself, well, why didn't this person do this? They could have saved their life. They could have lived. Why didn't they do this? They could have saved this many people. Well, in the moment, she probably wasn't thinking, oh, if what she's thinking is true. She was shocked, flabbergasted. She just fell in shock. She didn't even think about calling the police. She heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing with a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose, walking towards her. Walking towards her. So whenever the first time I read that, I pictured this person eye to eye, like facing her and the perpetrator facing each other, because you describe it as him walking towards you. So walking towards her. DM described the figure as being 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. Was he wearing a black neck gaiter? There's been a lot of discrepancies. That's another thing that I've saw. Some people saying it's a COVID mask. Some people saying it's a ski mask. Do you guys know of neck gaiters? You remember during COVID, they were kind of stylish. They go over your neck, they go over your mouth, and they cover your nose, but you're still able to see your hair. You're still able to see eyebrows and your eyes, just not your mouth or your nose or bottom half features of your face. Could this be what Brian Koberger was wearing? A black neck gaiter? Look it up, a neck gaiter. Look it up. It's kind of similar to what Mark Terry wears over there on that one YouTube channel that we will not mention, Mr. X. Anyways, describe the figure as being 5'10" or taller, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM. So he was walking towards you, but then he walked past you. So did you and him make eye contact? Did he know that you were looking at him? The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen, shock state. So I interpret that as you being fearful, like you don't know what to do. You're just in complete shock. There's an element of fear, petrified. Fear is an understatement. I would have been petrified. As soon as I saw I had the opportunity to call the police, I would have been on the phone. It's not, make it make sense. Please make it make sense. Why did you wait 6 hours and sit in the house with the stench of iron? Because you know that she had to smell it. And those smells probably stay with her to this day. What is wrong? I don't know. I don't want to pass judgment too much because I know that they're surviving from a tragedy, but you have to ask these questions because now that we know this information, that one of them actually was on the second floor and that they were even closer to the crime scene, and one of them were actually awake and they witnessed the killer, hell yeah, I'm going to have questions. She then saw the male walk towards the black sliding door. DM locked herself in her room. After seeing that the male, DM did not state, she stated that she did not recognize the male. So according to what she's saying, she didn't recognize whoever this was. Why? Another thing, why did you not get up? You saw that the perpetrator is out of the house. Okay, he left. That took place right before thy own eyes. The coast is clear. He's out of the house. Go and lock that door for safety purposes until law enforcement gets here. Because as long did the back door lock? That's another question that people's been asking. Did it even lock? Did the back door, the sliding patio door lock? Was anyone free to come as they wish? Because we hear a lot of people were in the house. So why was she shocked to begin with when she saw she didn't know? You said that you didn't recognize him, but why are you shocked? People come in and out of the house all the time. It's been described as being a heavy traffic area. So what makes it so different tonight? Was it because she saw something else? She could have saw something else, y'all. Again, there's a lot that's been redacted from this affidavit. And again, this is only a version of what is coming from the witness. This is what they told investigators and detectives, these roommates. So we're just going by what they say. But now, I just have, I don't know. The combination of DM's statements and law enforcement reviews of forensic downloads of the reviews from BF and DM's phone and the video of the suspect video as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. So they have narrowed the time period between the homicides. They're saying they took place between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. He was not there. Brian Koberger allegedly was not there. Even though DNA evidence links him to the crime. That's why I'm saying allegedly, because some people's going to be pissed off. He's still innocent and proven guilty. I don't want to hear it. DNA evidence does not lie. So he was only there for 25 minutes. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by the ISP forensic team by first using a pre-subjective blood test and then amino black, a protein star that says the presence of cereals. Okay, so that's interesting. They did a blood test and then an amino black, a protein strand that detects the presence of cellular material. The detected shoe print showed a diamond-shaped pattern similar to the pattern of the van shoe print, just outside of DM's bedroom, located on the second floor. Hold on for 1 second, just a brief intermission, people. We'll be right back. Okay, let's continue, people. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Let's see. I haven't been looking at the comments. That's when I knew DM was on the second floor. Yeah, we've always thought that she was on the first floor. That's what, you know. But then again, police are allowed to lie. They don't have to tell us everything. People DM had nothing to do with this. Yeah, I'm not saying that she had something to do with it, but all I'm saying is that her actions are suspicious. Why would you wait 6 hours to call 911? I'm not saying she had anything to do. I'm not saying that she had anything to do with it. But how could you sit in a house with the stench of blood for 6 hours and just decide that everything's okay, it's completely safe, and lock yourself inside the room after you just saw a perpetrator kill 4 people? Like, what planet do you live on? Anyways, let's continue with the affidavit. Let's pull it back up. Can you guys see this? Okay, you can see it. So during the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by the ISP forensic team by first using we've already read that. So they found a shoe print that matched a pattern of a van shoe print, and it had a diamond shaped, I believe. As a part of the investigation, an extensive search, commonly referred to as law enforcement as video canvas, was conducted in the area of the King Road residence. This video canvas was also to obtain any footage from the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, in the area of the King Road residence and surrounding neighborhoods in an effort to locate the suspects and or suspects' vehicles traveling to or leaving the King Road residence. This video canvas resulted in the collection of numerous surveillance videos in the area from both residential and business addresses. I have reviewed numerous videos that were collected and have conversations with other MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents that were similarly reviewing the footage that was obtained. A review of the camera footage indicated that a white sedan, suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound in the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow, Idaho. So a camera footage indicated that a white sedan, suspect vehicle 1, is there another vehicle? I wonder if there's another vehicle. What was observed traveling westbound in the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow. Is that the back of the house? Approximately at 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. On this video, it appeared that suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying front license plate. Now, in Idaho, for anybody that lives in Idaho, I think you guys have to have, in Idaho, don't you have to have a license plate on the front of your car and on the back of your car? I know they do that in Ohio, and I also think they do that in Idaho. So again, approximately at 3:26 a.m. and at westbound at 3:26 a.m., suspect vehicle 1 was seen at the 700 block of Indian Hills. 2 minutes later, approximately at 3:28 a.m., it was seen on Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow, near Steiner Avenue. I believe this is when Koberger was on his way back, or on his way towards Moscow, Idaho. A review of the footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 and ending at 4:20 a.m. These sightings, suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leaves via Whaletal Drive. Based off my experiences, a patrol officer in this residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles. They're saying that there's a limited number of vehicles that go in and out of that area at that particular time. In this mystery car that's not from the area, that, you know, people probably have not seen, comes in, and they're going back and forth past 1122. This is probably Brian Koberger pointing out his target, deciding on which one he wants to target. These sightings below show suspect vehicle 1 makes 3 passes, not just 1, but 3 passes by 1122 King Road, and then leave. Based off my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood. If you're not from there, why is your car in there? If you don't know anybody in there, if you're not a visitor, why is your car in there? We never see a car in there that's like this. Where is this car all of a sudden coming from? Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52, and then driving back westwards on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to be unsuccessfully attempted to park or turn around in the road. So it sounds like that Brian was having a hard time parking, trying to decide on where he was going to park. Again, did he not suspect that someone was going to see this car passing back and forth that looks suspect, sus as fuck? It appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Suspect vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area at King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. So this car, let's go back up, let's backtrack. So around 4:04 a.m., it can be seen driving eastbound of King Road and then stopping in front of the 500 Queen block. This is when he was trying to park his car, I'm guessing, around 4 o'clock. So he decided to park around 4 o'clock. The vehicle was seen speeding away at 4:20 a.m., approximately at 4:20 a.m. So within 16 minutes, not even 20 minutes, 16 minutes. What happened between those 16 minutes? Because at 4:20 a.m., it was seen leaving the area at a high rate of speed. Suspect vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Waltana Drive. Based on my knowledge of the area and the review of the camera footage in the neighborhood, that does not show suspect vehicle 1 during that time frame. It is believed that suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive and Contosca Drive, Palusa Drive, in the southern edge of Moscow that proceeds in Whitman County, Washington. Eventually, the road leads to Pullman, Washington. Pullman, Washington is only 15 minutes away or 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth between them. So I know I kind of butchered the names of the road, but it's basically saying that if I'm interpreting this right, I would need a map to see the exact location. But did he go out the back way? I would have to see the map. Palouse River Drive, Contosca Drive. Palouse River Drive is on the south edge of Moscow and proceeds to Whitman County, Washington. Okay. So approximately 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. We've already read that. So like, this is why, okay, people, let's pause. One of my theories has always been, did one of these girls meet Brian Kohberger off a dating app and they saw that he lived in Washington? They decided to blow him off. They're like, let's just blow this guy off. Whatever. Who cares if he gets pissed off? I'm not trying to victim blame here. I'm just saying, theoretically, hypothetically speaking, ghosted Brian. Brian got enraged. These girls did not realize how close he actually was to them. They just assumed that they saw Washington, so, oh, he's in a different state, so whatever. But really, yeah, he's in a different state, but he's only 15 minutes away. So 15 minutes ain't nothing. Did Brian Kohberger meet one of these girls off an app? Did he get enraged because he was rejected? Oh. Let's read on, people. The law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, that utilized surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of the unknown vehicle. Which is observed by one or more cameras during the commission of the criminal offense. The forensic examiner has approximately 35 years of law enforcement experience, with 12 years as being an FBI agent. His specific training includes identifying unique characteristics of vehicles and uses a database that gives visual clues of vehicles across the states to identify differences between vehicles. After reviewing the numerous observations of suspect vehicle 1, the forensic examiners initially believed that suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Upon further review, he indicated that it could also be a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing the information of persons in possession of that vehicle, which is a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. We now know that the car Kohberger was caught in is a 2015. So they were right. Investigators were given access to video footage on the Washington State University Wazoo campus located in Pullman, Washington. A review that video indicated that approximately 2:44 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of the white Hyundai Elantra as suspect vehicle 1, was observed at Wazoo surveillance cameras traveling north on Southeast Nevada Street at Southeast Stadium Way. Okay. So what does this mean? This basically means that they have gathered the reason why they know the Hyundai Elantra. It was also picked up at Wazoo campus before Brian Kohberger even went to Moscow. If it was not for this car, he would still be on the run. If it was not for this damn Hyundai Elantra that the whole country was looking for just a couple weeks ago, he would possibly have got away with this or have prolonged the justice process. So they saw the car at the campus at 2:44 a.m. on November 13th, 2022. It was consistent with the description of the white Hyundai Elantra as suspect vehicle 1, which was observed at Wazoo surveillance cameras traveling north on eastbound Nevada Street at Northeast Stadium Way. At approximately 2:53 a.m., a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Hyundai Elantra, also suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling southbound on Nevada Street in Pullman, Washington towards State Road 270. State Road 270 connects Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho. This camera footage from Pullman, Washington was provided to the same FBI forensic examiner. The forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman, Washington as being a 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. At approximately 5:25 a.m., a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of suspect vehicle 1, was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington at Wazoo campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located on 1300 Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Powhouse River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with whatever these roads are. They basically tracked him back to Moscow you can't go anywhere nowadays without being tracked. Doesn't matter if it's in your car. Every time that you get stopped at a light, your license plate gets hit. And he was supposed to have 2. He only had 1. That's why they make you in certain states to have 2 license plates, front and back. Every time. You wonder why his car got tracked that way so precisely. He probably got hit at every intersection that he stopped at. If there was a camera, it picked up on that license plate. At approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on cameras traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street, Stadium Way at Grimes Way, and I believe this is where the apartment is, Stadium Way at Wilson Road, and Stadium Way at Cougar Way. Descriptions showing Moscow and Pullman. So you see how close these towns are, guys. You really can't see it, but these, I don't know. That's a really bad picture. They're not that far away. Approximately 10 miles away from each other. That's nothing. 15 minutes away. That's nothing. On November 25th, 2022, Moscow Police Department asked the area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for a Hyundai Elantra. On November 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:28 a.m., Washington State University Police Department Officer Daniel Tingo acquired white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that, the query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate LFZ 8649. So there was a police officer at Washington State University that gave this tip. He said that he located a 2015 white Elantra with Pennsylvania license plate LFZ 8649. This vehicle was registered to Brian Koberger, hereafter Koberger, residing at, and then that's been blacked out, is approximately 3/4 of a mile from the intersection of Stadium Way and Cougar Way. Last camera location that picked up the white Elantra or suspect vehicle 1. The same day at approximately 12:58 a.m., Wazoo officer Curtis Whiteman was looking for a white Hyundai Elantra and located a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra at Blackout in Pullman, Washington, in the parking lot. Blackout is an apartment complex at the houses at Wazoo students. For Wazoo students, it's a student campus housing. Officer Whiteman also ran the car and it returned to Koberger with a Washington tag. Mind you, just a couple days after he murdered these kids, he changed the license plate from PA to Washington. So he bought the car in PA, I'm assuming, and then he brought it back to Washington. Just a few days after these murders, about 5 days took place, he registered and got the plates for the car in Washington. Tells me he didn't have any plans on, well, if I don't know, I really don't know, because that's one of the things I still understand. But then again, I'm not Brian Koberger. Maybe he was planning on taking the car back to Pennsylvania and then buying a different car there and then bringing the different car back. Who knows? But then why, if you were going to do that, if you're going to buy a different car in Pennsylvania and bring a different car back to Washington, why not just keep the Pennsylvania plates? I don't know. I don't know. So the license indicate that Koberger is a white male with the height of 6 feet and weighs 185 pounds. Additionally, the photograph of Koberger shows that he has bushy eyebrows, the same bushy eyebrows that DM reported in her eyewitness statement. Koberger's physical description is consistent with the description of the mail DM saw inside the King Road residence on November 13th. Further investigation including a review of Lathrop County Sheriff's Deputy CPL Duke's body cam and reports show that on August 21st, 2022, Brian Koberger was detained as a part of a traffic stop that occurred in Moscow, Idaho. So back in August, we're now hearing that Brian Koberger has had connections to Moscow, Idaho. So what was he doing in Moscow the 21st of August? He was obtained as a part of a traffic stop by a CPL Duke at the time. Koberger, who was a sole occupant, the only person in the car, was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with a Pennsylvania state tag of LFZ8649, which was set to expire on November 30th, 2022. So I guess he had to change it over regardless. But again, what convenient timing. Oh, yeah, let me just go ahead and do what he did. And then to look less suspicious, even in his mind, it looks less suspicious, but really it looks even more suspicious. Let's change over my license plate because it's about time for my tags are about to expire. Might as well change it over to Washington tags, right? And go about my life. So again, his license plate was set to expire. His tags, whatever, his tags, his plates. However they do in Idaho, Washington, that month anyways. During the stop, he was recorded via law enforcement body cameras. Koberger provided his phone number and it's been redacted, except the last four digits which is 8458. Hereafter, the 8458 phone as his cellular telephone number. Interesting. Investigators conducted electronic database inquiries and learned that the 8458 phone is a number associated with AT&T. On October 14th, 2022, Brian Koberger, way before the murders occurred, approximately 1 month, just shy of 1 month before the murders happened, Brian Koberger was detained as a part of a traffic stop at Wazoo police officer. Upon review that the body cam reported the stop, Koberger was the sole occupant. It was driving the 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plates LFZ8649. On November 18th, 2022, this is when he transferred the plates over to Washington. According to a Washington state licensing, Koberger registered the 2015 white Elantra with WA and received Washington plate CFB 8708. Prior to this time, the 2015 Hyundai Elantra was registered in Pennsylvania, which does not require a front license plate to be displayed. Again, all states are different. So when he changed to Washington, he was required to get a front and back plate. In Pennsylvania, apparently that's not required. So he changed the license plate on November 18th. The murders happened on the 13th, just 5 days. He changed the plates. This tells me that he was not, if he was planning on coming back eventually. He may plan to leave after they issued the what is it called? The BOLO people, that's what they've been calling it. The BOLO, whatever, the search warrant for the car, for the white Hyundai Elantra. That's when he decided to flee. Otherwise, if they didn't find out about this car, he was going to stay. Sounds like. And if he did come back to Washington, it was not going to be in that damn Elantra. Because common sense If he found out this information before the 18th, he probably would have fled to Pennsylvania, bought a different car, and then came back to Washington. But that didn't happen. Based on my own experience and communication with Washington law enforcement, I know that Idaho and Washington require front and back license plates to be displayed. Investigators believe that Kohberger is still driving the 2015 white Hyundai Elantra because his vehicle was captured on November 13th by a license plate reader in Laura, Colorado. Information provided by an inquiry of the database. Again, you can't go anywhere without being tracked. Every time that you stop at an intersection, your license plate is hit by a camera, by a radar, by anything. If you have a license plate on your car, you will be tracked. And he was tracked going to Colorado. So Kohberger's Elantra was queried on December 15th, 2022 by law enforcement in Hancock County, Indiana. So they got pulled over twice, back to back in Indiana, December 15th. On December 16th, the following day, 2022, approximately at 2:26 p.m., surveillance video showed Kohberger's white Elantra in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The sole occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Kohberger. Kohberger has family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, learned through TLO search and located tool database query. So December 16th, 2022, I wonder if this is when they collected the DNA evidence. They got his DNA. I know that he voluntarily gave his DNA when he got caught, but I'm assuming that makes an ass out of you and me. They got a DNA evidence on December 15th whenever they caught him in Albrightsville. That's when they were closing up on the catch. This is when he was back in Pennsylvania. So based on the information provided at the Wazoo website, Kohberger is currently a PhD student in criminology at Washington State University. Proves into records provided by a member of the interview panel for a Pullman Police Department, we learned that Kohberger's past education included undergraduate degrees in psychology and cloud-based forensics. These records also showed that Kohberger wrote an essay which he applied for an internship with Pullman Police Department in the fall of 2022. What? Let's go back up. Scoop! Hit the brakes. These records also show that Kohberger wrote an essay which he applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department in the fall of 2022. Are you serious? He was trying to get an internship, y'all, at the police department this year in the fall of 2022. Kohberger wrote in his essay that he had interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. He had interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. Okay. MJ Miles, I don't believe that is the case. Two of them were witnesses at the vegan restaurant. That's how they knew of them. Who are you talking about, MJ Miles? Talking about the roommates? Good morning, everybody that's tuned in. I have not been looking at the chat. Be sure to like the video. Smash that like button, please. And thank you. Hit the like. As a part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine that cellular devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity of the King Road residence on November 13th, 2022, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that Koberger was associated to both the 2015 white Elantra and the 8458 phone number. Who is this? Hello, you're on the air. Okay, I guess they got scared. They hung up. Investigators reviewed search warrants, a query of the 8458 phone number, and these returns did not show the 8458 phone number utilized cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Based on my training and experience and conversations with law enforcement officers that specialize in the utilization of cellular telephone records as a part of investigations, individuals can either leave their telephone at a different location before committing a crime or turn their cellular phone off prior to going to a location to commit a crime. So he turned his phone off before going to Moscow. The mistake he made is he turned it back on before he fled the crime scene. So how the hell is your phone pinging in Pullman, Washington, 2 hours later, 2 to 3 hours later, when it's turned back on, you're in Moscow, Idaho? Again, they're not too smart. You would be better off if you just left the phone back in Pullman. This is done by subjects in efforts to avoid alerting law enforcement that cellular devices associated with them was in a particular area where the crime was committed. I also know on numerous occasions subjects will survey an area which they intend to commit a crime prior to the date of the crime. And it looks like Brian Koberger had ties to Moscow going back to August when he got pulled over. Why was he in Moscow back in August? Why? What ties did he have to Moscow? Clearly he had some. Why did he choose Moscow? Did he think it was going to be safe in Moscow? Safer in Moscow, considering it's a state away? Despite whether it's 15 minutes away, it's a state away. He lives in Washington. Who knows? On December 23rd, 2022, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for historical phone records between November 12th, 2022 at 12 a.m. and November 14th at 12 a.m. for the 8458 phone number held by the AT&T provider, approximately 24 hours preceding and following the times of the homicides. On December 23rd, 2022, persistent to the search warrant, I received records of the 8458 phone number from AT&T. These records indicate that the 8458 phone number is subscribed to Brian Christopher Koberger at an address in this town in Pennsylvania. The account has been open since June 23rd, 2022. So his cellular phone, the phone account has been open since June 2022. These records also include historical phone site location information for the 8458 phone number. After receiving this information, I consulted with the FBI Special Agent SA that is certified as a member of the Cellular Analysts Survey Team, CATS. The member of CATS are certified by the FBI to provide expert testimony in the fields of historical CSLI and are required to pass extensive training that includes both written and practical examinations prior to be certified with CAST, as well as the completion of yearly certification requirements. Additionally, the FBI CATS that I consulted with has over 15 years of federal law enforcement experience, which includes 6 years with the FBI. From information provided by CATS, I was able to determine and estimate locations for the 8458 phone number. From November 12th, 2022 to November 13th, 2022, the time period authorized by the court. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 2:42 a.m., the phone number was utilizing a cellular resources that provided coverage to 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment G201, Pullman, Washington. Hereafter, the Brian Koberger residence at approximately 2:47 a.m. So 5 minutes later, the 8458 phone number utilized cellular resources that provided coverage northeast of Koberger's residence, consistent with the 8458 phone number leaving the residence and traveling south through Pullman. So they indicated they pinged his phone leaving that apartment complex at approximately 2:47 a.m. The 8458 phone number stops reporting to the network. So this is when he most likely turned off his phone before leaving Pullman, Washington, which is consistent with either the phone in the area without cellular coverage. Does AT&T provide cellular coverage? In Pullman, Washington? How is the area there? Is it spotty, or did he turn off his phone, or the phone is turned off? There it says, or the phone is turned off. The 8458 phone number does not report the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Idaho State Highway 95 south of Moscow, near Blaine, Idaho. So again, he did not turn back on the phone until he was about to leave Idaho, until the crime scene. Between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26 a.m., the phone utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with the 8458 phone number traveling south on Idaho State Highway 95 in Genesis, Idaho, then traveling west towards Uniontown, and then north back to Pullman, Washington. So what can you take from this? Brian Koberger allegedly turned off his phone, if this is true, at 2:47 a.m. Approximately 2:47 a.m. before he left the apartment complex or on his way to Moscow, Idaho, still in Pullman, Washington. He turned off the phone at 2:47 a.m. It was not turned back on again until approximately 4:48 a.m. south of Moscow, Idaho, near Blaine, Idaho, north of Genesis. Between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26 a.m., the phone utilizes the cellular network that is consistent with the 8458 phone number traveling south on Idaho State Highway 95 near Genesis, then traveling west towards Uniontown, Idaho, and then north back to Pullman, Washington. At approximately 5:30 a.m., the 8458 phone number utilizing resources which provide coverage to Pullman, Washington, and consistent with the phone traveling back to Koberger's residence. The phone number's movements are consistent with the movements of the white Elantra, which is observed traveling north of Stadium Drive at approximately 5:27 a.m. So sorry y'all, I had a cough. I had to clear my throat. Based off a review of the 8458 phone numbers, estimated locations, and travel, the 8458 phone number's travel is consistent with the white Elantra. Further review indicated that the 8458 phone number utilized the cellular data on November 13th, 2022, that is consistent with the 8458 phone number leaving the area of the Koberger's residence at approximately 9 o'clock a.m. after the homicides. This is where it gets creepy. And I'm laughing because I'm a little bit nervous. I am once again going to bring up this picture of News Nation. This was taken the morning of the murders. Mind you, guys, this was taken November 13th. Could this car in the background be Brian Koberger leaving the area once again? Take a good look. Look at where the arrow is pointing. You see the news reporter. You see the house of horrors. And then you see the car in the background. Is that the 2015 Hyundai Elantra? Let me read that information again to you all so you can understand. One more time. Further review indicated that the 8458 phone number utilized cellular resources on November 13th, 2022 at approximately 9 o'clock a.m., consistent with the 8458 phone number leaving the area of Koberger's residence at approximately 9 o'clock a.m. and traveling to Moscow, Idaho. Specifically, the 8458 phone number utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to the King Road residence between 9:12. It takes 10 to 15 minutes to arrive at that house at 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m. The 8458 phone number next utilized the cellular resources that are consistent with the same phone number traveling back to the area of Koberger's residence and arriving to the area at approximately 9:32 a.m. So when was this episode of News Nation aired? Between 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m. That phone was pinging at 1122 King Road. It was also pinged leaving Pullman, Washington around 9 a.m. the same morning, November 13th, 2022. Why in the hell would Brian Koberger be back at the crime scene? And if I was one of these roommates, I would be out of that house. I could tell you that. Okay, maybe fine. You didn't report it until hours later. Why did you stay? Why did you stay? Because he came back. It's been proven now that he was in the area after the homicides occurred. He probably, who knows why he wanted to come back. He probably was coming back to see if he could get, if he left anything behind. Like the knife, whatever, sleeth to the knife that the DNA was found on, laying next to Maddie Mogan. I can't say the word right now. It's too early in the morning. Okay, just forgive me. Look over it, people. You know what I'm talking about. He probably went back there to see if he left behind any evidence. Maybe he went back there to finish up the rest of the roommates. That's why this is scary. Let's pull up another video here. Let's see if I can pull up another video because this is crazy. And I even went underneath the News Nation video and made timestamps. I think I first heard about this on Plunder. Plunder has a video about this too. And I was like, ain't no way that is Brian Koberger back at the scene. If it is, that's just mind-blowing. That's ballsy. He actually was ballsy enough to go back to the fucking scene and see his work. Or at least ballsy enough to go back and see if he left behind anything that can be considered evidence. I'm going to be pulling up this episode of News Nation, and it's going to be very brief. It's only a brief second of a news clip. If you don't pay attention, you will miss it. So pay close attention. And as usual, anything that I'm talking about right here falls under the Copyright Section 107 of Copyright Act 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, education, and research. So this was aired. Okay. So if you guys want to go view it for yourself, I'm about to pull it up here. Let's see if I can take this down. So again, you need to look at the right top hand corner. If you don't look at it, if you don't pay attention, you will miss it. So right here, guys. This was 1 month, November 14th. So maybe it wasn't the same morning, but still, look at what is happening within the background. You see the car? Okay, you see it enter. Let's go back. Right there, you see the car enter at 1:49. If you go back down, and I even made timestamps. If you go back down to 3:02, you see the same car leaving. Let's watch that again. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Look, you see the same car leaving. 1:49, the car enters the area. 3:02, you see the same car leaving. Is that Brian Koberger? What do you guys think? I'm not going to continue playing their stuff because I don't want to get struck. We don't know. They just said that it matched Van's shoes. The pattern matched Van's shoes. I don't know who has Van's shoes. I don't know who has Van's shoes. I don't know whose shoes they were. All they mentioned is that. Again, there's certain things that they can keep out of the affidavit to protect the investigation, but so let's go ahead and finish this up. We only have a few more pages. Let's see, where were we? So yeah, at approximately 9:00 a.m. and traveling to Moscow, Idaho. This is when he was seen leaving Pullman, Washington. November 13th. November 13th. So that video that you just watched of News Nation, it happened on the 14th. That aired on the 14th. But still, hey, if he came back once to the crime scene, now that we know that he came back once to the crime scene, what's stopping him from coming back for a second time? And this, mind you, this was way before they issued a White Elantra. A bolo on the White Elantra. Said anything about a White Elantra. So that episode of News Nation aired the 14th. And we saw the car drive in and out of that neighborhood right behind King Road. I don't know what time it aired. If someone can clarify that, please do. But right here in the affidavit, it's been confirmed. He was back in that area around 9:21 to 9:32. Let's see. 9:12 a.m. to 9:21 a.m. 9:12 to 9:21 a.m. November 13th, 2022. Just a few hours after he got done doing what he did. He went right back to the crime scene. This is scary. AF. Below is a description not to scale of the possible route taken based off of the cellular locations. So the possible route taken, this is how he possibly got back to Pullman, Washington. So this is Pullman, Washington over here. This is Moscow, Idaho. He went all the way down, y'all. It's not like that he just took one straight shot. No, he went a different route. Investigators found that the 8458 phone did connect to a cell tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th. Oh my God. So, okay. All right. Investigators found that the 8458 phone number did connect to a cell tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th, the same date that News Nation aired. But investigators do not believe the same phone was in Moscow on that date. The 8458 phone number has not connected to any towers that provide service to Moscow since that date. So what does that mean? They found the 8458 phone number did connect to a cell tower. So it pinged off a cell tower on the 14th. But they don't believe they don't believe that the phone was in Moscow. So which one is it? If that video, go back and look at that video. If anything, that he could have been in Moscow the 14th, y'all. In my opinion, they're saying no, but what do you think? Do you think that he was back on the 14th? He could have came back on the 14th? Have you seen this video? Have you heard of this information of the car being in the background? That's why it's the most replayed. If you go back on News Nation, it's on my community wall. If you go to their video 149 and then 302, those are the most replayed for a reason. People are going back, what I did, going back, scanning through to see if they can see that white car enter the neighborhood. That's why they're the most replayed. And this happened on the 14th. Again, I'm not saying that he was definitely back in the area on the 14th, but in my opinion, he could have been. He could have been. They said right here that they found the 8458 phone number did connect to a cell tower in Moscow on the 14th of 2022, but they don't believe that the phone was in Moscow. So I don't know. Based on my training and experience and the facts of the investigation thus far, I believe that Koberger, the user of the cell phone, was likely the driver of the white Elantra that is observed departing Pullman, Washington. And that this vehicle is likely suspect vehicle 1. Additionally, the route of the travel 8458 phone number during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, and the lack of the 8458 phone number reporting to AT&T between 2:47 a.m. and 4:58 a.m. is consistent with Koberger attempting to conceal his location and whereabouts during the quadruple homicide that occurred at the King Road residence. On December 23rd, 2022, I was granted a search warrant for Koberger, historical CSLI from June 23rd, 2022 to current prospective location information and a PIN registered /trap and trace on the 8458 phone number in efforts to determine if Koberger stalked any of the victims in the case before the offense. Now, there have been talks of Kaylee Gonzalez having an alleged stalker. Some people are saying this could have been Brian Koberger. What do you guys think? The trace on the 8458 phone number to aid the efforts to determine if Koberger stalked any of the victims in this case prior to the offense. Conducted surveillance on the King Road residence. Was in contact with any of the victims' advocates before or after the alleged offense, any locations that may have been contain evidence of the murders that occurred on November 13th, 2022. The location of the white Elantra registered to Koberger as well as the location of Koberger. On December 23rd, 2022, in that search warrant, I received historical records for the 8458 phone number from AT&T from the time the account was opened in June 2022. After consulting with this CAST SA, I was able to determine and estimate locations for the 8458 phone from June 2022 to present, the time period authorized by the court. The records for the 8458 phone number show the 8458 phone number utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to the area of the 1122 King Road at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th, 2022. He was in the area 12 different times prior to November 13th, 2022. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in a late evening and early morning hours of the prospective days. So he either arrived late in the evening or early in the morning. The early morning hours creeping around, seeing which one he's going to target. Why was he in the area 12 different times? Why, weeks ago, did we hear one of the victims' families say that she had an alleged stalker? Did Brian Koberger have any ties to the surviving roommates? Why did he spare the surviving roommate's life that he walked right past after unaliving 4 people? Why not her? Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that she's okay, that she's alive, and that she's survived this. But these are the questions that she's going to have to be faced with. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a smartass. I'm just saying people's going to ask her, why did he not kill you? He just killed these 4 people. And now we know that he was in the area at least 12 different times from June 2022 up until now. One of these occasions on August 21st, 2022, the phone number utilized cellular resources providing coverage to the King Road residents from approximately 10:34 p.m. to 11:35 p.m. So 1 hour approximately at 11:37 p.m., Koberger was stopped by Lathrop County Sheriff's Deputy CPL Duke. As mentioned above, the phone number was utilized consistent with the traffic stop during the time frame. So he got pulled over, it looks like, in Moscow back in August 21st, 2022. Further analysis of the cellular data provided showed the same phone number resources on November 13th, 2022, consistent with the phone traveling from Pullman, Washington to Lewiston, Idaho via US Highway 195. So he's taken this route before. Again, this is something that it looks like that he's planned out for months. He knew the route. He knew how to get underneath the radar. But you know what? Let's not forget. Let's just say that let's just say she went back in her room and she did notify the police. Even if she didn't speak on the police, even if she said nothing to them, she just repeatedly called for them to come there after seeing this perpetrator leave the house instead of waiting 6 hours to report. Let's imagine for a second that happened. The police would have arrived at the scene. She would have told them what had happened. Then from there, the whole college, Moscow, would have been alerted, hey, there's a potential perpetrator in the area that's on the loose. This just happened. 4 people just got killed. Please be on the alert. The school would have went on lockdown, considering that Washington State University is only 10 minutes away. They would have also went on lockdown. They would have also been on the lookout for anything suspicious. People fleeing the area, speeding away. All of this could have been prevented if the 911 phone call was made sooner. I'm not trying to place blame on anybody, but I'm just saying, you can't sit up here and tell me otherwise. Time was of an essence in this. If it was reported sooner, he would have had less time to get as far as he did. He would have been under a time crunch, a very tight window. And even if he did attempt to flee out of state, it would have looked very suspicious. Why are you leaving all of a sudden, Brian? Huh? Hmm. So there it is, people. Additional analysts of the records of the 8458 phone indicated that approximately between 5:32 p.m. and 5:36 p.m., the 8458 phone number utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Johnson, Idaho. The 8458 phone number then stops reporting the network from approximately 5:36 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., which is consistent with the 8458 phone number being in the area that is at the 8458 phone number traveled in hours immediately following the suspected time of the homicides that occurred. On December 27th, 2022, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash of Koberger family residence located in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. This evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. On December 28th, 2022, Idaho State Lab reported that the DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath, which was left at the crime scene beside Madison Mogen's body, identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of suspect profile. At least 99.9998% of the male population would be expected to be excluded from the possibility of being the suspect's biological father. So what did they find in this trash? Because they used the biological father. Did they find a semen sample? Based on the above information, I'm requesting an arrest warrant to be issued for Brian Christopher Koberger, date November 21st, 1994, for a burglary at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, for the 4 counts of murder in the first degree of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xander Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. I declare under penalty of justice, pursuit of the law of the state of Idaho, and the foregoing is truth and correct. And then you can see it's signed. So what do you think of this affidavit, guys? What is your thoughts and opinions? Do you have more questions after reading this? Why did the roommate wait 6 hours before reporting the murders? He was 6 inches in the waist and doesn't kill her. Who is this? I don't trust this affidavit. Okay, well, the affidavit has been released. So if you say you don't trust the affidavit, you're saying that you don't trust what law enforcement is saying. Are you one of these people that is defending this piece of shit that brutally took the lives of 4 innocent kids? Please remove yourself from my chat if that's what you're implying. She is either involved or she will be well, I'm not saying that she's involved, but her actions are very suspicious. I'm not implying that I don't think that she was involved in this, but I'm just saying common goddamn sense would lead you to believe, why did you not call police earlier? Why? And when she said that she was in a state of shock and she was frozen, okay, you're frozen, but the killer just walked past you. You went back in your room. You went back to sleep. How could you even sleep after seeing such a thing? And why didn't you get up and lock the sliding door? Did the sliding door not lock? And that's why she didn't lock it. Is that why Brian Koberger got in? How he did? Because they never did lock the door, or the door did not lock. We hear that the house was a party house. A lot of people like to hang out there. So again, why is she so surprised to see a stranger inside the house? Unless, of course, she saw something else. I'm not saying otherwise. I don't know what she saw. But I'm just asking questions. But do I think that she had anything to do with this crime? No, I don't. And I can only imagine after now seeing what this monster, now the unmasked monster you have to come face to face with. Now you are seeing who you came face to face with that night. Who killed, who unalived your 4 friends, right? You get to see his face now. Could you imagine? Could you imagine what they're thinking? I don't get it. Why would you wait 6 hours to call 911? No, I'm just not an emotion. I want to see all the evidence. Okay, Mickey, I don't know what you're saying. No one here is being emotional, but you're the one that's saying that the affidavit is not true. So if you go against the affidavit, you're going against what law enforcement is saying. Who the fuck are you? I bring receipts. You're going to argue against receipts? It seems like you're the one that's being emotional about this. So again, get out of my chat. Thank you. Anyways, guys, be sure to sound off in the comments below. Please, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. We are going to have to talk more about this, y'all. We are going to have to be talking more about this. I have a lot more questions than answers. If you would like to donate to this network, all Cash Apps, Super Chats, Super Thanks, PayPals, did I say Cash Apps already? They are welcomed. That is Bandits Tarot Cash App and Seraphic Pathways on PayPal. If you cannot tip, be sure to like the video, share the content, tell me what you think, and thank you for watching. If you want to inquire about a reading, because right now I am hosting readings, tarot readings, receive a 15-minute tarot card reading for $20, now valid until January 31st, 2023. You can go over to my website, seraphicpathways.wixsite.com/Seraphic Pathways, if you want to know more about that. You can also email me at seraphicpathways@yahoo.com to inquire about the services I offer. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Bandit3X. And did you like the video?